Hello everybody in Facebook land. Thanks for joining us. We're here. We're going to do the dish on dogs in about a minute or two. We got a great guest. 2 minutes we have. We're going to talk about franchising a little bit. We're going to talk about our franchise training. Our friends Pete and Kristen out in Detroit. And they were here from franchise training. We're going to talk a little bit about franchise, the whole business of franchising. What's the benefits? What's the drawbacks? We never really got to it last week because we were being silly and I never stay on topic. Today we have Sarge with us. We're doing what we call our Turbo Boot Camp. So he's halfway through our Turbo Boot Camp. And so if you stay with us on Facebook, we're going to do a live demonstration. Ashley Pizzo here is going to be handling Sarge. His mom is in Spain. Right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
So they dropped her off for 12 days. I think he has only been here for about 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. We're going to give a shout out to our friends. We're going to talk, and I'm going to talk. Danielle's going to talk about different things. Franchise. We're going to where the hell are we going? Pittsburgh. Bergen. Next week, Bergen.
New Jersey.
Bergen, New Jersey. We're busy here. Talk about Ashley's new horse business. Right?
Yeah, that's good.
All this kind of fun stuff, so stick with us. Let's see, got to see if Jackie's watching. Got to behave myself.
Sandy D says hi.
Who?
Hi, Leia's mom.
Leia's mom.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We got about 25.
Okay, 25 seconds, kids. We're going to do this live, and then we're going to talk and say hello. Oh, Leia's mom. I took Sandy, or who is it?
Yes, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy. We love you. We do. I love Sandy.
And Kristen is watching also.
Kristen.
Detroit.
Hi, Trendy from Detroit. Okay. All right.
Did you give out those nicknames?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, affectionately known sometimes as the mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the absolute happiest dogs on earth. Hounds Town USA, we're expanding throughout the country. We're all over the place. We have our friends Pete and Kristen out in Detroit. They joined us last week. So we're going to talk, we always give them a shout out. Hounds Town USA, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a fully interactive doggy daycare. So it sounds like doggy daycare. We have a way of placing dogs in groups or packs that is so natural that they interact all day long from 6 or 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. And that's our claim to fame, is to take dogs. We don't breed discriminate. However, we don't breed discriminate, but we temperament test and evaluate all dogs. And I think we should spend some time talking about that later in the second segment. Let's talk about bully breeds, why some people overreact, some municipalities overreact. We'll talk about bully breeds, because some of our favorite dogs, Petey from the Little Rascal, he was a bully breed. Rin Tin Tin was a bully breed, German Shepherd. Last week we had Brooklyn, Trendy. Kristen from Detroit was handling Brooklyn, who is this lovable bundle of joy, right? He's a Rottweiler, right? Huge. And of course, he didn't have an aggressive bone in his body. Not that they can't be. All dogs can be dangerous, and big, powerful dogs can be more dangerous than others. We'll talk about that. Let me give my shout-outs to my good friend Tom and Joan Sullivan down in Beverly Hills, Florida. Faithful listeners to the show, and they are the voice of reason down there in Beverly Hills. Not everybody down in Florida is that reasonable, but Tom and Joan Sullivan are. We also have our friend Sean and Paige, who's opening their location in Sanford, Florida, right outside of Orlando, so we're excited about that. We have a lot of things going on. Joining me, of course, is the very lovely Ashley Pizzo and Danielle Janace. Do I say it right?
No. Janace? Yeah, say it right. It's Janace.
Janace. It sounds French. Is it French? What is it?
It's Italian.
Italiano. All right. All right. Tell me about, let's talk a little bit about, talk about last week we had on Brooklyn. What was the story with that? So Kristen, our franchisee from Detroit.
Yeah, she was here with Pete. They're opening the Detroit location, like you said. They were here for their first week of training in our Concomet location. Danielle was there taking part in that too. But Kristen came in and she had the fear of Rottweilers. So you happened to, Brooklyn was there and you kind of coordinated for her to come on the show and kind of changed Kristen's mind completely.
Yeah. How can people, just out of curiosity, because I know I like for people, we video this, so how can people just watch that? Because that was really interesting to
Yeah,
me.
they want to pull back last week's episode. It's on Facebook, so you just have to scroll down to our last video that was posted.
YouTube as well.
Yep.
How's
So
that? How does YouTube work?
YouTube, you just have to look up Hounds Town USA, and it's under our newest upload. And then if you go on Facebook, it's under Hounds Town Radio. That's our Facebook page, and that would be our last week's episode.
Right. So that was pretty impressive for me. So Kristen and Pete came out last Sunday. What we do, and we're going to talk about franchising, I promise, in one of these segments, but what franchising is as a business. So, but Pete and Kristen came out last Sunday as franchisees. They're opening their place in Detroit. It's beautiful, by the way. So if anybody's on Facebook in Detroit area, this place is going to be magnificent. It's 11,000 square feet. A fully interactive environment, and they've also partnered up with the Humane Society, so they're doing a lot of great things in Detroit and the Detroit suburbs. But the point is, so Kristen was honest enough, people have fears of certain things, right? Because we read things about certain breeds of dogs. Back in the 80s, Rottweilers were considered really aggressive dogs and so forth, and before that it was Dobermans, and before that. So every kind of generation has their dog. Obviously now it's the pit bulls and pit bull mixes. And we don't minimize that, right? Pit bulls can be, big, powerful dogs can be dangerous, but always it's at the hands of a human being. So, we see, I'm working on actually a case in Florida where a child was almost killed by a pit bull. So these things happen. This is not a figment of people's imagination, but it was the mismanagement of the dogs by a human. It's never, and this sounds weird, but I'm going to tell you, it's never the dog's fault. It's never the dog's fault. So these accidents happen at the hands of humans that didn't fail to socialize the dog properly, or maybe actually train them to be fighters. So children are the #1 victims of dog bites. So I'm actually, again, involved in a case in Florida where a 10-year-old girl was on a swing, and they just adopted this dog from a local shelter, and the dog mauled her and almost killed her. This is horrible. So when we say at Hounds Town USA we don't discriminate, we don't discriminate. Almost a quarter of our population in Ronkonkoma, how many pit mixes would you say?
I'd say 75%.
75%?
65, 70. Any kind of pit or pit mix, I'd say. A lot of our dogs are rescue dogs.
Yeah.
Right. So the point is we don't just take, first of all, there's no 3-year-old children in our playroom. So that's mistake #1, allowing dogs of these big, powerful dogs, but you don't know what their propensities are to let them get involved with children. So they shouldn't be involved with children.
Right.
Or should they be involved with senior citizens? Because if a dog jumps, if an 80-pound dog jumps on an 80-year-old person and knocks them down, it's dangerous. So dogs are dangerous just by virtue of being dogs. Obviously, the bigger, the more powerful. But pit bulls do have a genetic predisposition. They're baiting dogs. They fight bulls. That's what they were bred to do. So, without beating this over the head, what would, so you're saying 75%? I don't know if it's that high, but a large percentage. And as I said, Petey from the Little Rascals, if you have a pit bull, Rottweiler, German Shepherd, if it's socialized properly from birth, from a puppy, they're not psychotic dogs. Dogs are not psychotic, but if they're not exposed to children, I mean, you have to know what you're doing with them. It's like a car. A car is dangerous. A lawnmower is dangerous. All of these things are dangerous. I'm not a big fan of banning these things. I think it's like a Band-Aid. It's not it's easy just to ban things. Ban cars and highway deaths will go down. If you don't allow cars on the interstate, then highway accidents will go down. What's your thoughts on this, Professor?
No, I agree that there's not really, you need to find that happy medium. The shelters and have to do their jobs as far as doing the best of their ability to find background on the dogs and make sure they're screened properly, documented properly, as far as if the dog had to come back to the shelter for any reason. And then there's, like you said, there's some places that overdo it and they ban people from having certain breeds of dogs, which I think is a little ludicrous. But
yeah. Well, just think of your own experience. You and Danielle, we interact with...
Right, well, we don't set dogs up for failure in our facilities. You know, there's not, you know, beds and toys for them to play on. We don't have kids running around in the back, you know.
Right. We have a method to our madness,
Right.
but do you, with all the pit bulls and all the dogs we've dealt with, you know what? I mean, it's just as likely a golden retriever is going to bite you or a
or
chihuahua.
a little white dog.
Right.
Exactly.
But that's the problem is they're not going to do the damage that a pit bull is going to do. So overall, what was the dog? We had a dog on here a couple of episodes ago. He was a big. We had many pit bulls.
Yeah, we had
Diesel.
Diesels on here. The other pit mix, we had a puppy that was on here. We have a bunch of different dogs.
Bruno was on here too.
Oh yeah, Bruno was on here.
Bruno's another good example. But it's important to know that dogs are not psychotic. Humans are psychotic. So humans can be psychotic, right? So there's no such thing as dogs that are serial killers. You know, we say this all the time. They don't escape and go through the cities killing people. But if they're not socialized and if you don't understand their history, they can be triggered by small children. Small children, I just had my grandson over the other night, and he's 10 years, 12, 11 years old. He's jumping, he's screaming, his hands are flailing. So that's what, if a dog is not used to that, that's what triggers. They then look like a little animal.
Right.
And that's where all these accidents begin. Let's talk, because we only got 2 minutes. What are we going to do on our second segment? We got Sarge here. Talk a little bit about, where the hell is Sarge?
He's sleeping by Danielle.
He's sleeping.
Talk quickly, 2 minutes talk, and then we're going to take our first break.
Yeah, definitely. So Sarge is in our boot camp program, our 12-night boot camp. He's been coming to us before. His sister, Tess, has been coming longer. He's only 9 months, so they just got him. He's still, he's not neutered. But he came in, he counter serves, he, you know, pulls on a leash a bit, he barks at people, dogs, he gets excited very easily. So he just needs to be, you know, given boundaries. Right,
and I think one of the problems, his older sister is also a lab, right?
Yes.
But what we have a tendency of doing is comparing dogs. So Tess is 9 years old or 11.
She's older,
she's a
yeah,
senior
she's older.
citizen, the bottom line. So we have a senior citizen and we have a 9-month-old dog. They may be the same size, but they have completely different brains. And then the frustrating thing is you bring a 9-month-old puppy into your house with your 11-year-old dog and you expect them to have balance, and it's not going to be that way. It's like a 5-year-old child trying to play with an 85-year or 90-year-old person. That's just the way it is. So with humans, or I should say dogs, they look similar, but they stay the same size, but their brains are significantly different. So on our second segment, am I correct in saying that you're going to take this dog, Sarge, after our second segment, not this one coming up, and you're going to do some kind of demonstration with him?
Yeah.
And he's only been with us for 5 days.
5,
All right, I'm going to see. You're putting
This is the 5th day.
This is the 5th day. All right, folks. So all of our friends out there in Facebook land, we love you. Most of you we love. Some of them I'm not too fond of, but that's neither here nor there. What else? Then we'll talk about franchising. We'll talk about all the great things happening. We'll talk about Danielle, our lead franchise trainer. We're going to Jersey, Bergen next week. All right, stay with us 2 minutes for our first commercial. All right. All right, kids. Do you have any questions, Professor? Who are you texting?
Why are you so nosy?
Well, because I want to know what's happening. Yellow
I'll let you know if it's
7-minute turbo, pet care, franchise, running a small business. Pete and Kristen, we love you guys. Got to find out how
Kristen said
trendy. Joe and Cody, are these guys listening or what?
Not that I saw.
All right. Isabella, our domestic engineer, is she?
I haven't seen a Joe and Cody.
They were listening
Sean
last
and
week.
Paige, Steve and Deirdre, Paul and Wendy, Pennsylvania. Got a lot happening.
Oh, Mush just checked in.
Hey, Mush! Mush, our master trainer, our future master. Oh boy, master trainer. We'll see.
Victoria just jumped in. Oh, Danielle's
Danielle's
watching.
I'm watching.
I gotta go back.
Listener.
Who?
She's a faithful listener.
All right, yeah, I'm going to start writing a book. I had some Janine come out. Janine's our friend on Facebook. Janine, she's going to help me write a book.
Weren't you supposed to get that done?
Yeah, 7 years ago. We'll talk about that.
A little off the bat.
A little bit slow.
It's all right.
We'll talk about
30
it.
seconds.
Oh. You guys got to talk a lot. too tired.
20 seconds, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, the mayor of Hounds Town USA. So you know what we didn't talk about? What is the show? The purpose of this show is to fill the void between what people think dogs need. So we have this human brain, this big mushrooming neocortex. It's full of emotion. It's full of hate, jealousy, love, all of these very ambiguous things. Dogs, if you can see our friend Sarge down there, he's not struggling with these emotions. He's sound asleep. He's laying down. He's telling us something. He's telling us he's safe and secure. So our job is to explain to humans what dogs really need. And what they really need is very simple things. But humans create such drama and anxiety in dogs' lives. What dogs need is structure, leadership, and consistency. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
So what we've done with Sarge is given him structure, leadership, and consistency. So for the 5 days he's been here, you've taught him certain behaviors, simple things, jumping off, just staying in a spot.
Right.
And, so we don't get it, we don't complicate it. We don't really teach dogs necessarily to sit, stay. We don't scream at dogs. We don't throw cans at them. We don't squirt water at them. In fact, when Ashley does a demonstration, she's not going to talk to the dog. The dog is going to respond to her body language, because your body is everything to a dog. And, you know, I have a great new friend, Janine, and she's maybe listening, maybe not, but she's going to help me write a book that Jackie, the lovely Jackie Bondanza, started writing 7 years ago. And she's got the rough outline out. So she's got, in 7 years, she's got the outline of the book. But Janine, hopefully, is going to pick up the ball and try to get these simple concepts. It's not going to be a book about dog training, because we don't train dogs. We really train humans to respond to dog behavior. So dogs do things. They bark, they dig, they jump, they hump. They do all these things. It's natural dog behavior. But it's not acceptable in our domestic world. So we have to teach them what's appropriate in our human world. And it's hard for them because they don't have a neocortex and they don't know complicated things. So when we take Sarge out, we're at an airport here. There are reflections, there's noises, there's odors.
Vacuum cleaners.
Vacuum cleaners. There's all kinds of things that we take for granted. We have, humans have something called inattentional blindness, meaning we block more things out of our environment than, if we didn't block things out, we'd never get out of bed. We wouldn't be able to focus. So dogs are reacting to sounds and smells and movement. That's what their whole life is about. Sounds, smell, and movement. So we're going to do that demonstration. So anyway, yeah, Janine's helped me write this book, and it's going to be really straightforward, and it's like keeping things simple. So tell me more. What did you do with? What is some of the first things you do with Sarge as he entered our boot camp, our turbo training boot camp? Talk about that.
Yeah. So our first thing we do is, I know you did like a intro video first.
Oh, Sarge is farting his brains out here. I thought, is
sure
it?
It's not Danielle.
No, Danielle. Look at Danielle. She could not possibly produce.
I couldn't do that.
She couldn't produce that under any circumstances. It's either John Pizzo or Sarge. It's definitely not me, and it's got to stop because we're in a bubble here. For God's sakes, I'm literally locked in a bubble. Look! Oh my God! All right, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I can't. I'm going to vomit.
It's all the lamb lung.
Yeah, so we feed this dog lamb lung, which is all right. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So yeah, the first thing we do with Sarge is just the basics, no pulling on a leash. So we fit him with a training collar, and the first thing is we don't want them to sniff while they're on the leash, pull on the leash, and if they do, we give them a correction, which is just a snap of the leash. Past that, we start teaching them a heel, stay on our left side. Same thing, no pulling, no
simple things.
Behind. Yep.
Because so we live in an unnatural world, right? So dogs don't know anything. They don't know their reflections. They don't know what carpeting is. They don't know what tile is. They have not evolved. So when we look at Sarge, he certainly is closer to his predecessor, a wolf, than he is a human. He's never going to be a human, not in the next millions and millions of years. So we have to therefore teach him what our crazy world is. And our world is crazy, and the more people there are, the more dogs there are, and we're always encroaching on each other. And this is why these horrible dog bites take place, because there's there's like 80 million dogs, 320 million people. It's a crazy. Every year there's almost 1 million dog bites. So it's really a toxic environment. And we have to teach dogs boundaries very simply. And I think that Pete and Kristen kind of learned that lesson last week. Explain to oh, you weren't here for that, but what did you think? Pete and Kristen came out. So there's a lot of things involved with franchising. There's a lot of components of it. One of them is dog management. So what did you think about their basic, so Kristen came, obviously Pete and Kristen, they don't have a lot of dog experience. What was your overall impression, Danielle?
I think they did great. They really took everything in and listened, and by the end of it, they were pretty much pros at it.
Yeah, right, and it's great, and you did a great job, by the way. I listened to some of the classes you taught, and your ability to teach them. It was really kind of Jesus! All right, that's it. That was you, Danielle.
That was not me.
It's coming from over there. All right, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. We need one of those vomit bags from the airplane. This dog is sound asleep, farting his brains out, and we're stuck in a bubble with him. All right. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna lose focus here. But yeah. Oh boy, I'm losing focus. Let's talk about something else. So we're talking about the franchise training.
Yes.
So franchise training involves a lot, because there's not just about dogs, it's also about computer. Talk about the different elements of what you do when you come to work. It's not just picking up dog poop, that's the least of it. What do you have to do when you come to work?
No, there's a lot to do on the computer, customer service. There's just so much to learn about pretty much everything. It's a lot more than people think.
Right, and it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it could be very overwhelming.
Right, so if you think that today, on a Monday, we had about 70 dogs in Ronkonkoma.
At least, I'd say.
We had 60 daycare and then about 20 boarding.
Right,
Yeah,
so 80
exactly.
dogs. We have a very small staff, and the reason we have a small staff is we actually reduce injuries and dog fights. The less people we have, the better we are. So humans create, which is counterintuitive. You would think if we had 80 dogs, we'd have 1 human for every 10 dogs. And if we had, that would actually screw that whole energy of the place up. So, but it is quite amazing. You guys, I mean, Danielle is petite. Is that a good word of saying that? Is that the polite way of saying it? So she's petite, and probably half the dogs there weigh more than she does.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, right? And she handles them, manages customer service. As she said, she's on the computer, she's scheduling things, so it can be pretty overwhelming. And that's something that we teach to our new franchisees coming into the system, and that could be overwhelming. So you have to have the right temperament to run a small business. And I think after our second break, in 2 minutes, you're going to take Sarge and do this. Then after that, we're going to talk about the business of franchising, what's good about it, what's bad about it, the challenges you guys have in teaching franchisees, teaching new employees. It's not a simple business. It's not like a Subway sandwich shop where you...
No, and I was thinking about that last week when Pete and Kristen were here. It's not like you can be a supervisor at Target and then go work for Kohl's. It's not how this business is. A lot of it needs to be hands-on. It's not like we can just give a book, they can read it, and then open a doggy daycare, because you're working with live animals. And you guys do a great job, I think, of doing hands-on training and really breaking things down so it changes the way you think about certain things.
Right. And it has to be very fluid. So you're right. We can't write necessarily a manual down.
There's a lot of stuff. As far as customer service is pretty much the same as anywhere else, but the dog management is huge.
And just even talking about, if we would stay on the topic of pit bulls, look at the various spectrum. Most of them are mushes that they wouldn't bite you under any circumstance. Then some of them are a little bit more difficult. So a franchisee has to know that, and the training that's involved. I mean, what happens a lot of times, and I know this of you guys, staff members, you have so much skill you don't even know it. Just from working with the thousands and thousands and thousands of dogs, you minimize what you know about dogs. You don't really articulate it. So when I look at you, we as I said, we've taken care of over 1 million dogs, almost 1.5 million. So you take what you do for granted. It's really kind of amazing. So, and again, I call our Hounds Town locations laboratories, because there's no school on the planet that has this 70 dogs of different sizes, age, and temperaments and breeds coming in and out the door every time. So the amount of knowledge you get is incredible. All right, listen, guys on Facebook, you just watched this demonstration. Don't forget, 9-month-old Sarge is going to do a little bit of work out here under the cans of Ashley Pizzo, the professor. All right, go for it. Let's go. You've got to wake him up, this farting machine.
Sarge, come on.
All right, let's go. You got everything we need. Ooh. You're good, John. Let's go look and see what's happening. You got your remote control. You know how to drive this thing?
I'm not good at it.
I know.
It's
So,
hard, though.
phew.
Yeah,
Stinks
air
in here. Air this place out. Mamma mia.
Well,
All right. So here we are at Islip Airport. You can see this is Sarge has never been here. I don't know if he's ever been in the airport. But if you want to see, he's a big, powerful dog, 9 months old. Look at Ashley. She is so relaxed. If she throws that leash over his back a little. Yeah. Now show us your hands. No hands. Good. Good. So this is in 5 days. Then pick it up. Good. So we're working to get him off leash. Then if you want to put him in a designated spot, let's put him on the grass mat or wherever you want. So we have designated spots. And once he goes on these things, he stays on. But the trick is to be nice and relaxed. Good. The next stop for him, see his 4 paws are on there. You can drop the leash. He stays on it. Now, if she wants him, she'll just drop low. He'll come. Then she's going to put him on his next stop, is this bench mate. So this is just simple agility. Simple. You don't have to go. Good. And then he stays. This is the only time we give a dog a treat, but that's another matter. The point is he stays there. She can drop the leash. We can be relaxed. We can shake hands. We can do all kinds of things. So, Danielle's got my squirrel. Obviously he's interested. This is hard for a dog. Watch his body. You know, this is like a squirrel. It is a squirrel. Only we can't sort of. Danielle is like a dangerous
I don't know
driver.
how to work this thing.
All right. So then, let's pull out my squirrel, and then she's going to, Ashley will just take the dog. He comes to her. There's no energy. Notice she's not talking. Step out to your left and go for a walk. So this is incredible to me. How about come over here somewhere? Whoop. And then like make a left turn and come to a stop. Good, good. And he's starting to see his reflection in the window. Ask him to sit. Go ahead, here we go, good. Step out with your right foot. Drop your leash. And so this is all in the middle. This is not a training field. This is the airport, at Islip Airport. If Ashley gets low, claps her hands, dog comes, she loves it. She steps out with her left and puts him on the mat. Whatever. So my point is, in 5 days, we've taken a dog that had behavioral problems. Behavioral in the sense he was difficult. He's a big, powerful dog. So we were able to take him and just balance his energy. He's looking for food from her. He's not necessarily getting it. And she's not talking to him. Look at how relaxed she is. Let's see, what else can we do? I don't know. The point of the matter is, he still stinks. If you get in the middle there, that's all fine. So he needs a little, and again, this is on 5 more days. Now, all she has to do is drop low, and the dog will come to her. All right. No talking. He doesn't need, that was beautiful. Then he gets loved because she's on the ground. One more stop at the bench. And think of how easy. There's no pinch collar, there's no prong collar, there's no electric collar, nor are we bribing the dog with food. The only time he gets food is when he goes to a designated place. Is that looking good over there? Okay, good. And then, I don't know, there's not much more we can do. The dog, eventually he'll lay down there, and this is a nice, easy spot for him to hang out and see the world. Any other words of wisdom? Let's see. I don't know what else to do. 5 days where you're just going to tweak this. Let's do this. Get low and do a little more heeling left and right. Good. And then take a walk. And eventually, obviously, this is basic. This is basic. We're going to wean him off of the leash somewhere down the road. And then you can go fast. And he follows. He's on, look at how happy. She turns, he turns. There's no tension on the leash. She's looking. And this was not done with food reward. Let's see what else she's up to. She's going to make him a TSA drug dog. Look at that. She's going to ask him to sit, tell him to stay, drop it. All right, let him lay down. That's perfect. And then he lays there. And as long as we got 2 minutes, we're going back in. As long as nobody hits the button to put the carousel on, we're good. Or he's going to disappear and be off to Las Vegas on the next flight. So this is wonderful to me. And this is what we talk about, balancing energy. So this isn't a dog that has weeks and months of training. He's had 5 days of training. She's going to drop low, clap her hands, and he's going to come to her. We're going to go inside. Hopefully he finishes, passes all the gas he can, and we're going to go inside. But look at this beautiful dog. Structure, leadership, consistency. Structure, leadership, consistency. All right, that was good. We're going to try to get him up there. Whoa. He's not going to like that chair. Never mind. All right, whatever. Attaboy.
Got about 25 seconds, Mike.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, I mean, Ashley just did this kind of amazing demonstration. I think it's amazing only if you think of it in context. If you just watch Sarge do what he did, and then think of your pet at home that's barking at the vacuum cleaner, barking at everything that moves, you'll see how simple this is. And what I like to tell people is it's so simple that most people can't do it, because we think too much, and we complicate our lives more now than ever with Google this, Google that. We want technology, and dogs are opposite of technology. They are the antithesis, if that's a word, of technology. Sarge is looking around now. He wants a little Dunkin' Donuts. He was sleeping before. We got to watch what this lamb lung is really some power. We feed him lamb for treats. We give him lamb lung, which is literally lamb lung, and it's very. They call it kind of canine crack. But so when you think about dogs, they don't have a neocortex. So we talk about giving dogs leadership, structure, and consistency. Those are the 3 keys: leadership, structure, and consistency. So all we've done for the last 5 days is extremely consistent. Every time the dog goes to a place we tell him to, he gets a treat. He doesn't get food anywhere else. So that's the consistency. The leadership is not looking, talking, or touching. Good leaders don't look, talk, or touch. You follow, right? So you follow the leaders, and they don't look, talk, or touch necessarily. So these are the 3 components. And if you do that, you're going to have a happy pet. The other thing I would remind people when they were looking at Sarge, he was about as happy as he could be, because he wasn't worried about anything, because Ashley was the leader. Does that make sense, Ashley Pizzo?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
All right, makes sense to you. All right, so what are we talking about now for the next 8 minutes?
We wanted to talk about more in depth about kind of the pros of owning a franchise.
Right. Okay. So franchising is a funny business for those of you who are not aware of what it is. But it's now more prevalent than ever. I mean, you go to a mall, you go anywhere in the U.S. now. Sadly, there's no more mom and pop. They're just not. But franchising is as close to a mom and pop as you can be, because you're taking the benefits of a big corporation like Hounds Town, for example. Now we have 30 locations, so we can stay on the cutting edge of technology. We can stay on the cutting edge of advertising. But the franchisees themselves are really literally mom and pops. They're little small 4 or 5 employee businesses. So franchising is a business relationship. So we award franchises. We don't sell franchises. That's a misnomer. So we award franchises just like franchisees vet us, Hounds Town. They want to make sure we're good at what we do and that we're reputable, we're reliable, and we're going to follow through as business partners with them, and vice versa. So we vet each and every franchise. We have a very exhaustive process, actually, of vetting people and making sure that they have the same passion and principles and work ethic as we do. We don't care if they know anything about dogs. In fact, in our business, Hounds Town, I prefer people don't know which end of a dog is which. I really, as long as they have the right personality, the right work ethic. And you know, we're a family. Hounds Town is a family. So when we sign a franchisee into our system, we are signing a 10-year commitment. So it's like it's a marriage, right? It's like it's a contract that we're going to be together for 10 years through thick and thin. And we're going to have our ups and downs. Inevitably, there's going to be problems and challenges, and not everything is going to go the way everybody wants it to go. But our franchisees are vetted because of their, kind of their personality. So we have what we call a discovery day, where people come to us. They fly in from whatever part of the country they're interested in opening their Hounds Town, and we spend 8 hours together, and we really discuss just about everything. And at the end of the discovery day, it's like Match.com for franchisees. They see if they like us, and we see, and it's not even a question of like. I do actually, and we turn away. One of the other interesting points, I think, is we don't award franchises to everybody who wants one. And we might just see things that they're just not the right cultural fit for us. They don't get it. They don't get So Hounds Town, we want to have fun. So the first thing I tell people, if you don't want to have fun at work, forget it. We don't want any Debbie Downers here. There's enough problems in life. So we want them to know that we don't take life too serious. Of course, running a business is serious, but there's a lot of other things in life. Your family, your health, your mental health, your relationships are far more important than any business. So we want to make sure that our franchisees are on that same page as us. That's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah, and you help out along the way. So it's not like they buy into this franchise, they do their weeks of training, and then that's over. You guys are constantly checking in, constantly giving help when needed, and that's why you're saying you got that small business feel. It's not like you guys are a call or text email away.
Right, always. And we talk about it, it's running a business on training wheels, because we're a support system. And all franchises in general, that's what they're supposed to do, whether they do it or not. So we take barking at himself. Okay. All right. What? I don't think he
scared me.
He finally woke up. He stopped farting and he's barking at himself. Okay. Very good. A genius dog. Brilliant. Okay, Sarge. So we talk about franchising as running a small business on training wheels. So think of the benefits of that. You don't have to know that much. The funny thing is, here's really what I find most funny or ironic. Most of our franchisees are really these really magnificent. They come from the world of banking, the insurance industry. They come from all various high, what's the word I'm looking for, Professor?
Analytical?
Well, they're analytical, and they study, and they're passionate. They got degrees. But when it comes to running a small business, they struggle. Why are you guys laughing at it? Is he farting? What? Danielle Janice is really laughing. All right, but anyway, I don't know what's going on. I lost all control here. The dog is... By all the things I just talked about. He's barking, he's
Oh,
farting. But anyway, so running this, so you don't need you don't need to know about marketing. We have you covered.
Right.
And just think about a small mom and pop. If you opened a small restaurant or diner, how could you possibly stay on the cutting edge of technology? You couldn't. So with the beauty of the franchising is if you're in a good system, the franchisor, we stay on top of all that for you. We advertise and we do all kinds of media things. So again, it's best described as running a small business on training wheels. So we hold your hand through this process, or we try to. I mean, we make mistakes sometimes. Like I said, it's never, life gets in the way of things, and sometimes things don't work out exactly the way we plan. But I'm very proud of all our franchisees, all the work we do. Most importantly, my staff, who's like Danielle, our lead franchise trainer. She can't.
She's inconsolable right now.
She can't really talk right now because I don't know what. So she swallowed a feather.
I'm good now.
You're back in action. All right. So we got 2 minutes left. So speaking of franchise training, what do you find the most rewarding and the most challenging part of training people that, frankly, you never met? They just come here. So what's the most rewarding part and the most challenging part, would you say?
Well, the most rewarding is when they're finally getting the hang of it and you can see them and they get excited about opening their business and they're finally getting the hang of it. The most challenging part is just kind of just like dog managing, basically, I feel.
Right.
It's kind of awkward. It's hard sometimes, so it's hard to teach sometimes.
Right. It's hard
And
to...
they were taught the wrong way, probably.
Right.
Their whole
Yeah,
life on how
and
to
it's
manage
hard for
dogs.
them to forget what they already know.
Or they think they know.
Or they think they know,
Right.
and then start learning what we teach. So.
Right, but I agree. It's nothing more fascinating. One of the most examples is Kristen from Detroit, who came, and the good part was what made it such a success is they trusted us. They trusted the system. They didn't come in telling us what they know or how they know. They were open to learn. And it was pretty great to watch the evolution of her. I mean, we had them walk through a room with 25, right off the bat, with 25 or 30 dogs of all shapes and sizes, 120-pound dogs, and it's naturally people would be somewhat apprehensive about that. But when
It's intimidating.
It's very intimidating. But it's a nice feeling when they listen to you and it works out. So as I say, they were here for a week. Nobody got hurt. No dogs got hurt. And we probably, over the 5 days that they were here, we probably had close to 500 dogs coming and going. So that's a pretty incredible number. So I couldn't have been more happy with that. They were...
Yeah, it went very well.
It went very well. And we're trying to make it better every time. So that's the other part of franchising. We're always tweaking it. So the next set of franchises is going to learn from our experiences this last time. All right, so I'm glad. That was fun. And then we're going to... Where the hell are we going next? Oh, we're going to Bergen County.
Jersey, yeah.
Going to see Mush and all of our friends there, Steve. And we're going to try to do franchise training.
Yes.
Did you?
Try.
A lot of things are trial and error. All right, so we got 20 seconds here. We're going to take a break, then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Pittsburgh opening, Detroit, all the locations opening, and I don't know what else we're going to talk about, but stick with us for another 2 minutes, and we'll come back for our last segment. What are you doing, Professor?
What happened?
What happened that you
I know
guys
the leash was stuck.
Nothing.
All right, Don doesn't want to talk about it.
Nothing at all.
I'm like inconsolable about that. That's the funniest thing that happened to me all day.
That was great.
Everything is status quo, okay?
All
I
right.
look over and Danielle crying.
I'm
I know.
still crying.
It might be a conversation for the car.
Definitely.
For what?
Oh, I know what must have been happening. I figured it out. I think Sarge was getting up close and personal.
To who?
Probably John.
No.
To you?
No, that would have been funny as well.
That would have been just as funny, but not that.
I almost wish.
I'm inconsolable right now.
I didn't think you saw it.
I didn't see anything.
I know you didn't see anything until you got in the car.
I don't know.
You have no clue?
No,
All right,
no
good.
I wish I didn't see it.
Well, also, the
Oh,
other
was he
funny-
licking himself? He got an erection? Wow.
Oh, what's wrong with you?
I don't know. I
Mine's dirty.
can't imagine what's so damn funny.
What's so
It's really not that funny, but I
It's
just
just one of
can't.
those
I can't
things.
control myself right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's just say, okay, I got it.
Anyone else see Sarge saying?
Pete, Kristen, we're losing it here. These kids, I don't know what they're taking that acid, you know, that Detroit acid they must be dropping. Look at her. What?
Did you give them their nicknames or
They're what?
nicknames?
I don't know how we got about that. Pete's BS and Kristen's trendy.
20 seconds, Mike.
20 seconds. All right, kids, we're almost done
Go
here.
back.
You got to talk about how they listen to us. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould. The Dish on Dog, we talk about dogs and humans and how they interact and the dysfunction and how humans are vampires or dogs are vampires that suck the life out of the dogs and the humans suck the life out. It's just a mess. It's a toxic mess when humans and dogs interact. We're constantly confusing them. I'm looking, there's a lot of laughter going on here. I don't know, I lost total control. I'm going to get the answer when we get in the car. We'll report back next week. What the hell is so goddamn funny here? All right, so anyway, what are we talking about, Professor?
We wanted to talk about our different franchises, locations that are going to be opening up. As far as Detroit, they pretty much got most of the build out.
Right, next week on October 5th, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Penn Avenue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Joe and Cody are opening this place. It's going to be amazing. So, folks, if you live there, near there, you know, every time we open these locations, we give away free daycare to people just so they can have an opportunity to see what we're doing and what separates us. What separates us from our competitors? We understand the dog brain. We understand what they need, and it's not what humans think they need. They need to run around. They like to sniff. They have very simple needs, and we provide that. So Pittsburgh's opening, and then probably 2 weeks after that, in the middle of October, Pete and Kristen are opening in Detroit. These are all beautiful, magnificent cities, so we're excited about all of that. What else? So we're going to Jersey next week.
Bergen, yes.
Bergen.
And what is that for?
Okay, so what we're trying to, we need a team, obviously, to go out and train our franchisees, but we need consistency. The other part of franchising is, and here's where the problem comes in for any franchise, whether it's McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, people have to be able to have the same experience in Orlando, Florida, as they do in Detroit, Michigan. So when you go to a Hounds Town in Detroit, or Pittsburgh, or Long Island, the customer and the dog has to have the same experience. So when I go to Italy and I order a Big Mac, it has to taste the same as if I bought it here on Long Island. And that's one of our challenges as franchisors, is to be able, especially with dogs, right? So I mean, if you go to Subway Sandwich Shop, they tell you exactly how many slices of this, how many scoops of tuna fish. It's very kind of simple. It's like there's not a lot of variance there. But with dogs, it's very fluid. So that's going to be our challenge. And Danielle is one of our lead franchise trainers, and she's there goes a perfectly well-trained dog. But anyway, so that's our challenge. Good boy, Sarge. So our challenge is going to be that, and it's hard. It's not easy, right? To just think the cleaning process, the check-in process, how we group dogs. We put dogs mutually. How do we pack dogs? That's huge.
That's the hardest part, I think.
That is the core of our business. So, you know, people look at pet care, at least, and this is why we're so successful, to be very honest with you, if I can be so bold to say. And it's not because of me, it's because of our staff and our system. We know how to put dogs. We don't just throw dogs in a playroom and keep our fingers crossed and hope they do well. We go through a systematic process of temperament testing and evaluating dogs. And we also educate our customers. And that's the other big part of Hounds Town. We educate our customers, so we don't just agree to do whatever they say they want us to do because they think it's good for the dog. Half the time, it's not good for them. So if they give us too much food, we might explain to them that you're overfeeding your dog. If they, whatever the case may be, we explain to them that if dogs are playing, they're going to smell when they leave. So we, you know, there was as I said, there's a fella named Cy Sims. Does that sound familiar to you, Cy Sims? Anyway, he ran a great business, and his motto was, an educated consumer is his best customer. So our role, and this is the thing, like, so for example, Danielle not only has to group dogs and understand the dog brain, she also has to deal with customers who are very nice, but a lot of times they don't know the first thing what their dog really needs, and sometimes that's a little difficult. Would you say?
Yes, definitely.
So right, so we kind of have to. And we're the dog spokesperson. That's the way I look at it. We're the spokesperson for the dog. The dog can't go home and tell their owner that they suck. We kind of have to say you suck. Put it nicely. And you can do it. I can't. But you have a nice way of telling people they suck. No. Then they don't really suck. They just don't understand. They don't understand. So they project. Their only skills we have as humans is human skills, our human brain. So we don't know what it's like to be a dog 18 inches off the ground that can't see anything above. So they have to almost jump up to get stuff off the counter. And all of these bad behaviors are kind of promoted by us without us really realizing it. Don't you agree, Professor?
I do agree.
What do you think? Now you're off to the horse training world. Let's talk about that. You're left us high and dry. You ditched us. What are you doing now? You're leaving to train horses.
Well, yeah, train people to ride horses. So I have clients and everything like that, and it's, you know, it's the same thing with the dogs. People put certain emotions on horses like they do dogs, not to the same extent because they don't take their horses home. They leave them at the barn at night. So not as anthropomorphic, I would say, as your customers, but they still get that way, and it's the same thing of just educating them and going through certain things like that. But the same thing applies with the danger level also.
Horses can be dangerous.
Yeah, and it all comes down to suitability, and they're unpredictable. So you just try to set them up for success and go from there, and that's the best you can do.
Right. So that's interesting, right? So horses, it's funny you should say that. So I'm sure I heard that horse owners are crazier than dog owners. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that. You don't have to speak specifically. You can just roll your eyes. But I heard...
A little bit.
Right. You can speak on that. Right.
They are.
Right. So I don't know why, in what context. I don't know anything about dogs or horses, so I don't mess with horses, But it is funny. We don't apply the same... We don't think the horse should come home and sleep in bed with us, right? That's like, duh, we know that, right? And we know that the best, most expensive, beautiful horses stay in barns at night. There's no air conditioning.
And I don't think people talk to their horses as much as people try to talk to their dogs.
Right, right. Exactly. So it's a bizarre world for animal people. You're an animal person, for sure. Danielle's an animal person. I'm an animal person. So we see things differently, I think, a lot of times from the animal's perspective instead of the human perspective. And that's important, and I don't know, I think that's just the way we're hardwired. I don't know if it's, I just think that's the way we see things. And I feel sorry sometimes for the animals because they're so misunderstood. And our pet owners love their dogs. Money is, and I'm sure the horse business is the same thing. Money is really no object. They'll pay money for the best trainers, the best food, the best vet care. But when it comes, doesn't horses have like pea brains? Aren't they like the brain the size of a marble or something?
I wouldn't go that far.
I think they're pea brains. They're dumb. How can you tie a 2,000-pound horse up to a little post and they stand there all day like idiots?
Well, they don't.
Oh, okay.
Funny thing is, those are very well trained horses.
But really?
I look at the horses. The difference between them is dogs are more of a predatory animal than horses are. They're more of a fear-motivated animal. So. Most issues that people I feel like come in contact with horses is a lot of their instinct reaction is out of fear. So
the horses,
right? They're not. They don't have that. Most, I'd say, 95% of them don't have that aggressive tendency.
Right.
Most of the
well, they're not
get
predators.
mad at their horses, right? And that's why, unlike dogs, where most of the time they're a little more confident, so their first instinct might be to bite somebody if they get fearful. Horses are to run away. Right,
and I think if dogs are predators. They kill with their mouth. I don't think horses. They're grazers, right?
Yeah, they are.
They don't, use their teeth to kill things where dogs do.
Right.
Dogs only have their canine teeth to resolve all their conflict. But that's interesting. So hopefully we wish you a great deal of luck. You're always going to be here on a show. Pretty soon we're going to be podcasting. Corey, our good friend Corey, who's working out problems right now with the president of the company, will be doing our podcast for us, hopefully soon. And we're going to continue to be live on 103.9 here at beautiful downtown. Where the hell are we? MacArthur Airport? Islip Airport. All right, so next week, I don't know what we're going to do. Do you have? Well, you and I, we got a lot going on, and we're going to keep you guys abreast of everything. Tom and Joan Sullivan, as always, thanks for listening. Pete and Kristen, Cody, and whoever's listening, thank you all. And we'll talk to you next Monday night at 8:05 p.m. live from Islip Airport.